Hey everybody, so on this video I want to talk to you for a few really helpful tips about working with scale and proportion with these styles. So first of all, you need to make sure that these styles are for print resolution. They're for 300 dpi, not 72 dpi. So you want your document to be in 300 dpi print resolution even if you're making it for the web. Because one thing that I've learned is that if I have a document and it's like the size difference is like almost nothing whether you make it 300 dpi or 72 dpi. At least whenever you're creating in Photoshop. So I have this document here. The space that I create these styles in and I use them in mainly is kind of my default display size, but it happens to be about 4 inches tall by 6 inches wide, 300 dpi. So that gives you an idea of maybe the ideal design space that you want to create in or create your illustrations in when you're using these styles, because that will give you a really good effect. And now, for example, here, if this is the dark background style or the darkest background style, but if you applied it on a 72 dpi, it's not going to look the same because the pattern overlay is going to be at a smaller resolution and it's going to look blurry and not, you won't be see all the details like that. And then also if I go here and let's just take my icing brush and maybe make a, let's just make a curly Q here, main light. The style's not going to be right. It's going to look very flat. But if I do the same thing over here in the proper space, create a new layer and make main light, there you go. That's going to have the proper look that you're looking for. So number one, create in this 300 dpi space. The second tip that I want to give you, we will shut out the 72 dpi thing because we don't want to see that, is if you're doing things on the edges, because they're bevel, if you go like this, sometimes you're going to have this flattening effect around the corner. Sometimes it's not noticeable so much, but sometimes it is. So, like if you do it here on colored, you might see this pinching sort of effect because of the bevel goes from the edge here and it doesn't continue. Doesn't matter if you drew it out here. The bevel is going to start like right here. So you're going to have this pinch sort of effect. Sometimes it won't be noticeable, like I said, sometimes it will be. So what I do, if I have a lot of things around the edges, I will create like, I wanted to create this like 1200 by 1200, but I actually expanded my work document size to 1500 by 1500 so that way I didn't get that creased effect around the edges. And then I can go through when I'm done and crop my image and it won't be a problem, and then I won't have that crop, like that crimped look around the edges. So that's another important tip. If you have a lot of things going over the edges or around the borders, then you can just expand your artboard to a bigger size than you need. And I put a darker background so I could see where the edges are. And so that's a really good tip. And that's what I did here. And then my third tip that I want to do is about proportions. And so say you want to create something that's like, maybe you have something that's a bit detailed and you want it to be small. What you might want to do, like for example, when I created this sort of a raspberry effect or whatever, you might want to create it larger and then you need it and kind of work with the styles that as they already are. Because if you make it something that's like very detailed and very small, then you're going to have to adjust the styles manually all the time. And I'll just show you an example. Let's just say I wanted to make something like this raspberry here. I'm just going to, let's see, I got my good brush here. Let's see, what do I got? No. Yeah, okay. Say I wanted to make this little raspberry, and we'll just use the colored red for right now, the default. I'm gonna make, like, let's just go ahead and put color dark. I'm gonna make, say I wanted it like this size, okay? And I wanted to do the same thing of this little raspberry here. That's the background. Now I'm going to create like these little dots here. So I will go to color darkest, and I'll take my brush size down and I'll go like this. Oh, you kind of have to keep them away from each other. Oh, wait. Keep them on a separate layer so that they, color darkest, so that they have their own little raise thing. Well, that's going to, as you can see already, it's like the styles look too dark and the overall appearance isn't quite the same and it's not as good. So what I would do is, let's just cut everything from what we already have here, is create it on a larger scales. Work with the styles as they already are and don't try to fight them. So, and this is going to save you less work. So if you see that like you want to make a raspberry and you want it to be a certain size on your design and your final design, but it's too small, the styles aren't right, so you want to, then you'd have to manually adjust each style. Well, instead of manually adjusting each style, just make it like bigger to work with the styles as they already are, and then you can merge it and then put it on your design smaller however you like. So I'm just going to show you an example of how to do that. So I'm going to make something like that raspberry, but like a good size. So let's just make this a little bit bigger. So I made like a background first like this, okay? And then I made every little bit on its own layer. So then I could go and make its own bit. So I go like this, and this is just the colored darkest. No, let's here. Let's do colored darkest for dark backgrounds. That's okay. Or colored darkest. That's the same. Okay, color darkest. I'll put color darkest, and then each of these need to be on its own layer to have that sort of effect, that that they each have their own little sort of height. So make a new layer, color darkest, like this. So now it's looking good, and now I don't have to change my styles, you know what I mean? So we want to work fast. So if it's not working out and you're trying to make something too detailed, too small, just go ahead and make it bigger in this kind of workspace that I've created, and then you can merge it, save it as a smart object, group your layer, save it to the side, merge that group, and then, move it around or whatever as you like. So I'm just going to make the next row just to give you an idea. So we will go with colored dark, and then I'll make the little, I had this like sort of gradation effect, colored dark, that I like that I did with that. New layer, colored dark, make a dot, new layer, colored dark, make a dot, and then I'll make a new layer, colored medium, make a dot, new layer, colored medium, make a dot, new layer, colored medium, make a dot. So now you get the idea, and you can adjust the styles if you like, but this way you don't have to, you're working with the styles, you're saving time, make it bigger if what you're trying to make is too small, and then you can always merge it and save it and make it smaller in your design. But that way you don't have to take the time on every single layer to adjust the layer size for your final drawing. And it's just making best use of the styles and best use of your time. And that way also you'll have it bigger. So say you change your mind and you want something, you want to use that design again, you don't have to redraw it bigger. So that is some tips about proportion and, getting the best use of your styles and saving you time. So hopefully that helps. And if you have any questions, let me know below.